All right, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to another episode of StormWatch. We're the Willises, Brad over there, John right here, and we're here to talk about the first game of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Carolina Hurricanes as they go on to defeat the New York Islanders by a score of 3-1. What was your just general thoughts on the game? How did it kind of play out in your eyes?
Well, so when the game began, it was evident the crowd was in it, like they always are in Raleigh. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of excitement going on. But as the game wore on, even after the first goal by the Canes, I started getting worried. And I started getting worried because we just were not we were letting the Islanders play their game.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that later, but that's one of my big concerns is who's going to dictate the pace of play and the style of play. And I think in game one, the Islanders did.
Yeah, shots were 8-7 for the Islanders in the first, 13-6 for the Islanders in the second, and then 13-13 for the Islanders in the third. So, yeah, I mean, even the shot total would kind of tell you that narrative was true. The Hurricanes got to their game for moments in the game, but never really that extended forecheck that we love to see.
Maybe one or two times.
Yeah, Islanders played. Yeah, Islanders played a good road game, but Frederik Andersen was solid. 33 saves on 34 shots, so he was excellent. He made a just ridiculous save. That was in the second period, right?
Yeah.
I think that might have been goaltender interference beforehand. I think it might have been goaltender interference beforehand, but in any case, he made the save, and it was a highlight reel one. Yeah,
the announcers on the telecast said that Pesce tripped him. But
I don't think that's true. Which broadcast did you watch, by the way?
It was
Forsland?
Yes, and Panger.
Oh, that's good. Okay. It's nice to hear Forsland. I was watching Mike and Tripp, Tripp said, on initial review, he didn't think so, but then they looked at it again in the intermission. He said, "No, actually, I changed my call." But anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
It was a great save overall. Hurricanes were lucky not necessarily lucky. It's not like the Islanders were way better, but they did have the better of the shot total. Hurricanes like to be in control of that. Typically, they don't like to be outshot by their opponent, but they did have a strong advantage in the face-off circle.
Yes.
Carolina won 60% of those. I think I looked at this the other day, last night, when adjusted for shots, the block shots in shots on net. The Islanders blocked more shots, but the shot attempts were ultimately the same if you're, adding up block shots.
47. Yeah.
Now, shot attempts could also just be shots that go wide of the net, so I don't have stats on that. But Hurricanes were also 1 for 3 on the power play, so you got to take advantage of the power plays when we get them because the Islanders are dead last in the NHL on the penalty kill. So Kuznetzov got the first goal of the game. That was factored in by Stefan Noesen, who had a great game overall, factored in on both the goals. But yeah, Noesen with a strong net front and Kuznetsov with a snipe over Varlamov's shoulder, right shoulder. I think they were targeting that corner. Something about that corner, I don't know. It seemed like they were going to a decent amount. Skjei hit the post actually on that side of the net, and you know how much he loves to shoot glove side. So
yes,
there might be something there. Just keep an eye out for that. Hurricanes also had the hit advantage in this one, which was good to see because that was one of my fears coming into the playoffs, particularly with the Islanders because they did have significantly more hits. But no, we had some bone-crushing hits. Seth Jarvis with a huge hit. Stahl with a great hit. Brady Skjei had a nice hit. It was good to see. Yeah, it was Svechnikov, put some people into the boards.
No, Jarvis's hit on Dobson was phenomenal. You could see Dobson when he got up.
And the great thing there is the size difference. Dobson's he's huge. He's got to be like 6'5". He's a big dude. And Seth Jarvis,
he's so big when he's looking upwards.
Yeah.
I really like Jarvis. I just not only
Yeah.
is he just an energy guy, which
Yeah.
causes chaos,
Hmm.
he's highly skilled.
That line in general, yeah, no, he is very highly skilled, and he brings it. He's gonna give
Yeah.
you effort, maximum effort. He's not afraid to go get those pucks out of the boards, even though he's significantly smaller than most people on the ice.
Mhm.
But yeah, that line overall, I thought kind of struggled in this game,
They
particularly
did.
Aho.
Aho struggled.
It looked like at times he was trying to do a little bit too much, put a little bit too much on his shoulders. He had a bad turnover in the defensive zone.
Yeah.
Gave the puck up right in the slot to Matt Barzell. Luckily, Freddie saw the play happen and came out early and challenged and
Yeah, I think that
held
was
in on the rebound. But
Zekas that forced that.
that's fine. I've got no worries. I mean, it's just one game with Aho. We saw how he was at the start of this season. He's, he'll get there.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of nerves or jitters right now, but he'll settle in. And the fact that we won this game without him and that line being as effective, or the team even overall being as effective as we know they can offensively, and we still were able to win this game, I think should give the guys confidence. They know that they didn't bring their A game and they still won. I mean, you heard Kuznetzov in his post game interview. He was the first star of the game, and so Hannah had him interviewed on the bench there.
Well, I didn't see that.
He was said something to the effect of, we're not going to celebrate too much on this because we know we could play a lot better, and there's still work to be done. And that he's the happy-go-lucky guy on the team, right? And so to have him speaking like this, and he was slumping there towards the end of the regular season for sure, in my opinion, at least compared to how hot he had started, right? But you got to remember he hadn't played in a couple months prior to that. And now he's actually playing meaningful games, and it's clear, at least to me, that he needs those meaningful games for it to really matter to him.
I was thinking the same thing, John. Mm-hmm. I was thinking he's played so much,
which is kind of unfortunate for the regular season, but I'm glad we have him now. I'm glad we have him.
I mean, he's played so much hockey in his life. He's won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
he's gone through some troubles, personal issues, and so. I still would like to see more effort during the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just at the point, and I think you're right. I think he's not up to game speed yet, or he's just pacing his stamina. I'll just
maybe, yeah.
Hopefully maybe what it is. If it's not that, then we're gonna have issues.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got him for one more year, so I think this team is deep enough that even if he just falls off the map completely next year, it should be still okay. Like, we've got enough depth. Hopefully, that being said, we got to re-sign everyone next year. So, getting back to the game, Kuznetsov did get it started on the power play. That was only a minute and a half into the game. But Kyle McLean at 8:20 into the first period, he would tie it up. He had a good game. I think he's a rookie. That kid. He was trying to mix it up with someone. Might have been Brady Skjei. I think Skjei put a good hit on someone. He was trying to mix it up with him. But anyways, that was a good play by him. It was a deflection from the point. Kind of a broken outlet. Like we were trying to get the puck out of the zone. Missed pass there from Burns and Natchez. I don't know. Kind of. Just misplayed it, really, leading to that goal. Just kind of got caught under Freddie, and McLean was able to come by and just tap it in 1-1. And then the second period, the Islanders really took control. And this is where it became an Islanders game. I think the first period, was fairly even. In the third period, I would give the edge to Carolina. I guess the shot totals were even, but it felt like Carolina's period
Carolina
in the third.
Won the third period.
Yeah.
But there was a section in the second period where we went 12 minutes with only one shot.
12 minutes. It was quite a long time. I kept looking at it on the, watching the game. I didn't know exactly when it started, but 12 minutes that's way too long in a Rod Brind'Amour system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was very troubling. That was the biggest concern of the whole night. 12 minutes that doesn't happen to us. We do that to teams. No. That doesn't happen to us.
Right. And that's why I led off the telecast saying it started worrying me, and it still continues to worry me. Who's going to dictate the pace of play? Are we going to play their style? Or are we going to play our style? And I think we need our first line to dictate that play with their
Yeah.
With their skill level and their speed, that's how we should be playing.
Yeah, the lines still need to be figured out and tweaked. Rod was tweaking them during the game. There wasn't any really. I guess the best line overall that night, I think, was the Stahl Svechnikov Martinook line. I would say was the best line overall.
Yeah, John, I
But
lost.
those,
Yeah,
none of those guys even got on the scoreboard.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but none of those guys even got on the. Pardon me.
Yeah, yeah. I think they were a good line. So we can talk.
I mean, 26 total shots is not a lot.
No, I don't know where we are in terms of if you just want to kind of talk about.
Yeah, we'll just cut to the chase as far as the way the rest of the game played out, and then we'll just open up the discussion. But yeah, Stefan Noesen there would get it going. That was with 3:44 into the third period, and then Natchez would finish it off 3-1 empty net goal with about a minute and a half left to go in the game. So Noesen, like I said, was factoring in on both goals. He was the net front presence on the Kuznetsov goal, led for Kuznetsov being able to snipe it near side without Varlamov even seeing it. And then Noesen double deflection.
Yeah,
Kuznetsov also factored in on the other goal. He fired it. He cycles up to the point, fires it from the point. Brady Skjei deflects it in the high slot, and then Stefan Noesen deflects it right in front of the keeper down to his backhand, and all kind of in one motion puts it in. Just amazing hand-eye coordination. So those are the type of goals you're going to need in the playoffs, and he's one of the best net front guys in the league.
Yeah,
both goals in this game, or the second and third goal of this game, their goal and our goal were both from deflection. So that's going to definitely be a factor.
Well, that's a concern too, because let's just be honest. Kuznetsov's power play goal was pure luck. Now, maybe he was trying to hit the corner. Maybe that was a great shot. But the fact that it snuck in totally dictated the rest of the game. Because if that doesn't go in, and let's assume the rest of the game plays out, now we're chasing.
Okay, but we also did have a couple posts. I think they hit the post, and then Freddie made the save after that. But again, I think that could have been.
We need more from the outer line. We need shots on goal.
Yes, that line needs to provide some offense every single night.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to. Clearly, it doesn't need to. But when you have that, then you just feel so much more assured. Now, even going into the way the second period ended, though, I still, I was nervous, but I'm still just so much more confident than last year. With the firepower that we have going into any period, and it's tied, I think if it's tied in any period against almost any team, I would give us the chance to come out of that period ahead, or at least tied again. Right.
Yeah.
And so none of the Islanders' chances were super dangerous. I mean, Aho turned it over in the slot, like I said. Their goal was kind of off a deflection, and Freddie just couldn't really handle the puck and was caught under him. But there were no breakaways. Chatfield defended a 2-on-1 in the game brilliantly.
Good play. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's things to worry about, but the Hurricanes didn't bring their A game at all and still came away with the 3-1 victory. So that's encouraging on some aspect.
Yeah. So I want to just talk about I wrote down the pros and cons in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So the pros were first, the number one pro.
Skjei had a good game, by the way. I just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the number one star was Andersen. Andersen played great.
Yeah.
He kept the puck out of the net. The one that went in, you could say
every goalie's going to give up that goal once or twice.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen. It's go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
No, that's fine. That's all I'm saying. He had a great game. He was the number one star for me. So that bodes well for future games.
Yes,
I thought it was a good sign that we actually won the game and that our number one line didn't have any points.
Yeah.
That was good because that's what you're going to have to do once in a while, especially as the competition is tough.
A guy who I wasn't expecting any points out of, in two guys I really wasn't expecting any points out of this game. 3 guys Brady Skjei had 2 points. Stefan Noesen didn't have 2 points, but he had a goal and definitely factored in on the first goal.
Yeah.
And then Kuznetzov, 2 points. So, 3 guys like that. Skjei's maybe not necessarily a depth guy, but at this point, Kuznetsov is and Noesen is as well. So when those guys are the guys that are leading the charge and you still win the game, that's excellent.
Yeah. That's
what are the pros you got?
The last one I had was I thought Pesci and Orlov played well.
Yeah, I thought I didn't have a problem with any of the defensemen's games.
Yeah.
Can't remember any necessarily like frustrating plays or anything.
The 2 cons I have, the second con is what we talked about, is I'm worried that we're playing their game and not our game. But the number 1 con I had, which I've seen,
and that's especially concerning, given that it was an away game for them.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So you can definitely have more control at home, and the fact that they were able to dictate the play here at PNC, it's they were already line and like I said, Rod's going to need to tinker with the lines some more to figure out how to match them up most optimally against their lines.
Yeah.
But this first go around here, this first game, the lines were not optimally balanced. There were definitely some mismatches. Their third line's pretty good. Lee, being on their captain being on their third line, kind of like ours is. But
so it's funny. Yeah, so my other con was our passing. Our passing just wasn't crisp.
Yeah. A lot of passes where it would hit the guy's stick and hop over.
Yeah. Or they kind of just slid slowly across. Like I remember Kuznetsov made a pass. It's like, damn it, pass the puck.
We were just me and Bryce, my buddy who were watching the game with, he mentioned that it's kind of like a soccer pass. He kind of throws it to an area where it's a good area. The thought's a good idea, but you're just kind of floating it out there, hoping that one of our guys is able to jump onto it.
Right.
And it doesn't work like that. Hockey's a little bit faster than that.
Well,
a lot faster
in our O zone. Or D zone. He had a similar pass where it just it's not enough zip. Be confident. I think Aho was just he had nerves. He just was not confident for whatever reason. So anyway, those are my pros and cons.
He was frustrated.
My stars first star was Andersen, then Kuznetsov, and then Noesen. Were the stars. But I want
Brady Skjei also hit the post.
Yeah,
so I just want to throw that out. And someone else did. I can't remember who. We had a couple on our team. But anyways,
yeah, I can't remember who either.
Is it Natchez? Anyways,
it was interesting your comment you said about Anders Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had the same thought in my head. It's like this guy, he's like a younger Jordan Stahl.
Yeah, but he plays on the wing, if I'm not mistaken. He's on a.
He's not a center?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was a center. But did you see him drag Skjei around behind the goal?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, in a way, Jordan Stahl. The defense.
He's strong as shit. Everyone everyone in the NHL remarks how big his quads are. Apparently, he's just got massively strong legs.
If he was more skilled, this guy would be a perennial all-star in terms.
Yeah, I think he like a lot of players like him. They had a couple seasons where I think he put up 40 or close to 40 one year.
Okay.
Yeah, he's that type of guy.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good seems to be a good player.
Yeah, I mean they've got good players. When a guy like that's on your third line, that's good.
Did they do anything at the trade deadline?
Probably some minor stuff, but
I can't think of anything.
I don't really know. Yeah, I can't.
Keep in mind that.
Let me look into that. Keep talking about the game.
Yeah, I mean the Islanders are a unique organization. Because, first of all, it isn't Lamoriello their general manager, and now they have Patrick Waugh as the head coach. They just, of all the teams in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
Right. Of all the teams in the National Hockey League, the Islanders are probably run in the most consistent manner.
Mm-hmm.
They just do this is why we're going to play, and this.
That said, but they sometimes, I don't know, Yes, I would agree.
I'm not saying it's good or
But
bad.
sometimes
I'm
it
just
feels like they
saying
don't really have a pulse.
right. Exactly. I'm saying it's probably not necessarily good that they do that, but they just don't change.
Yeah, they're a
Every
well-run
year
machine.
since the beginning of time, the Islanders seem to play like they did the
They've got that. I was talking about it with some other people. They've got that like Mets effect, right? They're always going to have fans because people who don't want to be fans of the Rangers. And Long Island's big enough island that I
Yeah.
think you can legitimately just support them just off that one island, right? So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really need to change. And I think they only I think for a long time they had like one of the oldest
Stadium.
arenas.
Yeah.
They changed it up like a few years ago, three years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So next game is tomorrow night.
Next game is tomorrow night. I'll be going to that game. That should be an exciting one.
That is, you don't have a time on it. Well, it's going to be like a 7 p.m. Eastern start, right?
Yeah, I think it's 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30. Okay.
If I had to guess. Yeah,
so we're going to keep Andersen in that?
Yeah.
And they're probably going to keep Varlamov. He didn't have a bad game.
He didn't have a bad game, no. I think they go with him.
All right. What are we going to do if Jesper Fast comes back? Are we going to just keep him as a healthy scratch?
No, I think you put KK in. Take KK out.
You take KK out? Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're valuing structure and energy. Well, KK has energy versus potential scoring.
Yeah. I think Jesper Fast got just as good a chance of scoring in the playoffs.
I guess you're right.
Kokaniemi.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. I'd like to think that Kokaniemi is a younger guy with more skill, but he shows flashes of it. But it's just not. I don't know. It's just not consistent enough for the whole package. Just doesn't come together with him.
I think the over under in game 2 for the number of times KK will fall down is 1.5. So I'm going to take the over.
1.5, nothing. Every guy falls once a game.
Well, he just.
Okay. 1.5 is nothing. That's not even a confident bet.
Not be pushed down or knocked down, just fall down.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
All right. Any predictions for game 2? I think one of my fears that we kind of predicted was that the Hurricanes might get off to a little bit of a slow start, and in my opinion, they did.
Yeah. But we came out ahead, and I think it helps. Now we've settled our nerves down a little bit.
Yeah, I think the top line needs to just focus on the first line needs to focus on intensity rather than scoring and skill.
Yeah.
Right? Like just bring it and bring the forecheck next game. That's what I'd really like to see.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Let's reverse the shot totals of last game where we had 26, they've got 34. Let's reverse that, but let's keep the scoreline maybe right about the same. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that.
It's interesting you say intensity, but Jarvis was pretty intense, and I know Getzel was pretty active. It just wasn't around.
You're right. When I say intensity, I guess that might not be the right word. We didn't have the
pressure.
But what else are we missing that's leading to that forecheck? I guess they were better on the pucks. They were faster to pucks than we were.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Throughout most of the game, I think.
I think we're gonna. Right. I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna win, and I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 5-2.
That's not bad. I actually really like that prediction. 5-2.
Yeah.
I'm 5-2, one empty netter.
Yeah, I think we got to keep Andersen in.
Yeah, I know. What do we do? Yeah.
I just
like we talked about it a couple podcasts ago. We talked about maybe they'll rotate, and then I don't know. I think we recorded on it, but I don't know if I recorded on it or brought it to you just in private. But I definitely have changed my tune on that.
Yeah.
The coming back and back and forth when he's playing so well. I mean, he's had one game where he's let up more than 2 goals since he's been back or something like that.
You know what's
he gave up like 4 against Boston, I think it was. a 4-1 loss to Boston, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just why not? He's a good playoff performer. He's the winningest goalie in NHL history in their first 500 games. Like what
number of wins,
you know,
winning percent. Yeah.
I still think Kochetkov is probably going to be the guy for the future. Like,
yes, he will.
And Andersen keeps playing as well as he does. This organization is not going to want to pay him necessarily what he deserves at the end of this contract. Luckily, we have him for next year as well. So from a goaltending perspective, we're squared up for next year.
Yeah, I don't know how long a goaltender should be expected to last in NHL.
I think you can just kind of keep
going. But
yeah, I mean, he's like, I think he's like 34 now. So I think at most you wouldn't be giving him anything more than like a 4-year contract, and that's only for a team that really, really wanted him.
Oh, shit. I can't give him a 4-year contract now.
Yeah,
that won't
exactly.
That won't age
exactly.
well,
So
potentially.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty amazing stat line. The winningest goaltender in the first 500 games of their NHL. Like that's
that is.
Shows he's at least somewhat level of longevity, and he's
but keep in mind, it probably took him longer to get the 500 games because of his injuries. So
yeah, but that's just also the way the NHL is going nowadays. Anyways, it's always going to be more of a 1A. It's always going to be preferred for teams to do a 1A 1B situation. Now there are going to be teams that's just not going to work for, and they're going to do an A and a B, right, or a 1 and a 2 goalie. But yeah, I think that's the preferred method now in the NHL. All right, well, we got to wrap this up because my thing is going to die, and we're just kind of drawing this out like we always tend to do. But thank you for sticking around and listening. I appreciate your brevity in the situation.
Okay.
So yeah, go Canes, and we'll see you after game 2. I'm gonna try to get these out faster. And one thing that slows me down is just editing that brief little StormWatch logo, which is so cool. I want to include in every video, but I like
the thumbnails you're putting up. Or title pages or whatever. Those are good.
All right. Maybe I'll just stick out with the all right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.